Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. This is a sacred space where healing begins, intuition awakens, and your spirit remembers its power. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, author, energy healing specialist, hypnotherapist, and spiritual life coach. For over 35 years, I've guided thousands of souls to protect their energy, trust their intuition, and step into their most empowered self. I invite you to join me for heartfelt conversations, spiritual insights, and gentle practices that nurture your soul and inspire your daily life. And together, we'll explore how to rise above negativity, trust your inner wisdom, and embrace the truth of who you are, a divine, radiant being of love and strength. So take a breath, settle in, and know you are not alone on this journey. You are loved. You are supported, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. So let's rise together and join me now as your host. Well, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, here to help you reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And today, it is such a blessing to share this sacred space with my very special guest. Her light, her wisdom, and her energy are gifts to all of us. So welcome, Valeria. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much, Barbara. It is a pleasure and honor to be here on your podcast today.
Well, thank you so much. And before we get started with our interview, let me introduce you to my listeners and say a little bit about you. Valeria is a spiritual mentor and activator with a connection to the angelic realm. She works using an array of modalities to suit her clients best, such as her intuitive gift ability, her the Akashic records. She does Reiki and light language. She has helped hundreds of people activate and amplify their own spiritual gifts and help them transfer their life by targeting deep healing, guiding them through a journey to remember who they truly are and shining their true divine selves unapologetically. And Valeria is also the host of Healing Through You podcast and the founder of Activated, a 6-month journey of healing and transformation. So, welcome to the show today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much again.
So, have you always been, a healer and psychic and spiritual?
So I had my spiritual awakening in about, I think it was the year 2000, where I had a lot of things in my life just went kaput. Like, right? I went through a divorce. I lost my friends, my home, my everything. And I had this huge spiritual awakening where, like, I heard my mom, who was passed at the time. I mean, she's still passed. I heard her speak to me, and I just thought it was so cool. And I was like interested in that, but I didn't think it was anything that I could do. I just thought that was a thing that happened. It just that happened, and let me share it and let me go see a psychic for my needs because I was always interested. And it wasn't until 2020 where I actually started going deep within my own self, where all of these gifts started coming up, and I started putting things together and feeling like, oh, wait a second. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, I was doing that. Oh, I could do that.
Mhm.
And those 20 years went by with me just playing with the energies and things that were happening without really knowing that it was something, other than just being me and, it's just playing with energies. So, yeah, it wasn't until I literally started working within myself, meditating, doing breath work, journaling, all of those things that, I now teach. Um, where all of these things started coming up, and then I still didn't believe in myself. I still didn't think it was anything. It was just like, it can't be, right? Like, I can't. They just said that because they're my
Yeah, it's like make
friends.
believe. I know.
Yeah, it's just make believe. It's just,
Mhm.
it's just play. It's just play. Um, and one of my friends who was going through a course with me one time said, "Come on, Valeria, we all know what you can do. Just do it." And it was like a kick in the butt. And I was like, what? Okay, let me try it. So I put on a post on Facebook on a group, and I was like, hey, because back then I thought what I could do was help people remove pain from their body, like physical pain. And I was like, if anybody has any ailments with their body and they want to try this out, I'll have a free session in exchange for a testimonial. And my calendar just filled up. And I started doing things, and people started telling me what was happening. And then that is when actually I started to believe that this was something that I could do something and help people. I before that it was just I'm playing, I don't think it happened. That was just make believe. I think I imagine it. All those things that I feel so many of us go through when we don't have the guidance or the focus or even the awareness that it could be something.
Well, that's it. I know for myself, I grew up in a family that were healers.
Oh,
My
nice.
grandparents were healers, but my mother wasn't. And so, as a child, I was able to see and feel and hear things. So my grandmothers were able to help me up until the age of 18, and then they passed away. Then I had no one to help me because then my mother would tell me, it's your imagination. Just stop this already. What do they're going to put you away, in the psychiatric ward if you don't stop this. And so it's hard when you know in your heart something is there, but you're not really sure what it is. And until something happens. In my case, it was I started getting very sick, as later on in years. And so I actually got back into the healing modality in my 30s. So I've been doing it now for like 45 years. Um, but yeah, it's amazing how we sometimes we don't think it's real, but it is truly real.
Because it feels like second nature. It feels like you're breathing or you're
Mhm.
walking or you're able to touch your toes, when other people can't. It's
Mhm.
just so second nature that it doesn't feel like anything. And I believe that so many of us who are really interested in this and are looking like, oh, maybe I want to do that or I would like to do that, we are looking for the big fireworks or the big like signs like, oh, if I can't, like, they see a medium on TV and like, oh, that medium says they see it or they can hear. Well, I don't see it, I don't hear, so that must be not doing it.
The thing is, we all have those intuitive abilities. All we need do is tune into them and to take that moment to stay still and to listen. Because it's there.
Yes.
It's your voiceless voices that always speak with you, but we choose not to listen. It's that
For
gut
sure.
feeling.
Yeah. It just feels like, I mean, I believe everybody has it. And you said, your grandmother had it and then your mom didn't. I feel that she also did, but she just was blocking it because she
Yeah.
just didn't believe it, whether it was the upbringing or the religious or whatever it was that was stopping her from tuning into her gifts. Um, but we're all able and capable of.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. So 20 years ago, you became a spiritual mentor and activator, right?
No, so that was 5 years ago. 20
Oh,
years ago,
five
that's
years.
when I had my huge awakening, but I didn't know it was an awakening. I didn't
Okay.
know what to do with it. I thought I was just playing. And then little by little, between 2000 and 2020, my life just started getting harder and harder in terms that I was just not I was not satisfied. Like I had the things, I had my career, I had the job, I had the car, the house, the husband, the child. I had all the things that you're supposed to have, yet I felt empty inside.
So that
And
was your defining moment of awakening?
yes, because I started feeling like, what's wrong with me? I should be so grateful. Like, what is wrong? And I felt bad feeling this way. And I felt like I was being ungrateful because I had the things that so many other people were still aspiring to. And I just felt like I didn't know what it was. And I found someone online that I knew in real life, and she was going through her thing, and she was posting and talking, and I just felt really drawn to her. And once I was a teacher, I was teaching art at the school. And when the summer came, I just started going back and watching all her little videos and stuff, and I just couldn't get enough. And then I was like, I need to work with her. And I signed up to work with her. She was my first spiritual mentor. She was my initiator, and she's the one who guided me to do the writing and the journaling and the breath work and then the support. And it was through that person that was there to support me that I was able to see and make the connections. Because those other 20 years, I was playing with the energy and then I was just dismissing it. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I ran a 5K. There it is, right? Like, like it's not a big deal because I didn't think it was anything. So it wasn't until I started doing this work and she was validating, yes, that happened. Oh, yes, that means this. Oh, yes. And then that's when I was like, oh,
Real.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's how that happened for me. And this is why I feel that it's so important to find either a group or a friend or someone who can
Someone.
help you validate what you're going through, because otherwise we still dismiss it, like I did.
Well, we dismiss it, or we think we're just going crazy, or it's our imagination, and then unfortunately, it can disappear if we don't choose to see it.
If we shut it down again, yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
So, it was that your personal experience that actually shifted your spiritual path?
Yeah, so once that friend who was in the same class as me said that to me, and I just put myself out there, I just took that leap of faith and I started doing sessions, in exchange for testimonials. I had to believe it because all of those people were strangers. See, before
Exactly.
they were
Hmm.
all friends or acquaintances or somebody. And so I always said, they just said that because they knew me. They just said that because they're my friends. Right. And so I still, even though they said it was like whatever it was, that they have felt something or seen something or it was a great reading, I would just push myself back and say, yeah, that didn't really happen. But when I did it with strangers,
It was different.
people who had nothing to gain by telling me that it was working, that's when I started to believe. And
It,
so that's why I was like, okay, there is something here. And so that's when I just believe. And once I started believing in myself, I just went all in. And I just like, oh, it must be this. And I would just allow it and accept it, allow and accept, allow and accept. And then my gifts just kept being activated within me. Like I could do this, and then I could do that, and I could do this. And I was like, oh, and it was because I was just allowing it. I was just saying, oh, okay, that must be this, that must be that. And then it would just happen for me.
yeah, once we allow it to happen, it's amazing what happens. I know for myself, when we moved here 22 years ago, I was back east doing healing and training, teaching people. Um, And when we moved here, I actually went for a job at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Hmm.
And it's funny because a lot of my friends back east said to me, "Oh, you'll never become their healer or hypnotherapist because you're too Brooklyn. They want somebody worldly and not with that Brooklyn accent." Well, P.S. I ended up getting that position, and I worked there for 15 years, and that's what actually made my abilities really real. Being in a facility that actually had like your celebrities and Fortune 500 people come to see me. And
Hmm.
and I said, all right, I do have this ability. Why am I, pushing it back? When I can do anything I set my mind to do because I could feel and see and hear. So it's amazing how something happens to us that pushes us into that realm of, spirituality.
Yeah, for sure. And it feels like for a lot of people, and especially now, a lot of people are going through a lot of really difficult things in their own lives.
Hmm.
And that is their breakage. It's like breaking the heart open so that
Yes.
they can seek and allow the light to come in, so they can see what else is there. And it's not just this everyday routine that we have created for ourselves.
So with all this happening, how did you first connect to the angelic realm?
Okay, so I grew up Catholic. And so I knew a lot about the angels, and the angels always made me feel safe. Jesus, the whole thing. I never really felt like the church itself resonated with me. I always felt like there was something somebody said that it just felt like that can't be. Right. But I did have the connection with the angels. And so once I started connecting, I started just envisioning the angels to come and help me. And I would ask them for help. And actually, this is a really good story. When I first started trying it out and I had like that sign saying like, come to me, I just want to practice for in exchange for testimonial, the very first person that came through was a total failure. I had this new beautiful person in front of me giving their time and space. She had some type of back pain and headache, and I completely froze. And I was like thinking, okay, what was I supposed to do? What did that person do? What did that person say? And I started going everywhere because I was so
Everywhere.
nervous. And nothing happened, right? The lady's like, I don't feel anything, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, that was like, it was like a terrible, terrible feeling. That went off. But the good thing about it is that my calendar was already filled. That was my first one. And so then the next day I had another person and I had several. And I was like, what am I going to do? Right? I couldn't back up because I
Uh-huh.
had people on my calendar already. So the next day I came and I just said a prayer and I asked for the angels, for my guys to help me. And I actually surrendered and I said, this is a specific thing that I said, which is, if I mess up, please take over and do it yourself because my purpose, what I wanted was for the person to have a good session,
Good session.
right? So I was like, hey, if I'm messing up, if I'm going the wrong way, if I'm thinking too much, just take over and do it. You do it. You do it. And I said that, and I set that intention. And then the person had an amazing session. She felt the lightness within her. She felt the pain dissipate from her body. And it was amazing. And then I was like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to get myself out of the way and just trust. And then I kept going. But that's a really good question because what, like I said, that very first time, even with all the things that I knew and that I was doing all the time, like second nature, when I had to do it, I
You
froze and I was
froze.
just, yeah,
The thing is, we're not the ones doing the healing. They're the ones
no,
doing the healing. So, for myself,
yes,
I just always ask, and it's always there, and
yes,
and yeah, we need to get ourselves out of the way and not think. All we need to do is just feel and just do.
yes, yeah.
And it just happens. And yeah, and I always ask for the angels. I
Uh-huh.
always, because they always, all we need to do is ask, and they do step in.
They do, they do. So anyway, that's how I started connecting, and then I always connected with them. I
Oh,
always had that intention, and then I could feel them. And like there's certain angels that do different things. I mean, they all do everything, but like Archangel Michael is the protector. He can cut cords, so I would use him to do that, to have a protection part. And Archangel Gabriel, is with the speech and the communication. So I always ask Archangel Gabriel to help me so that what I say, what comes through me, is what the person needs to
right.
hear.
Mhm.
Archangel Raphael with the green light of healing. So those are the three main ones that I usually ask for help, plus my guardian angel and the person's guardian angel. So that's what I do. But then I also do connect with the beings of light, which I see as these four pillars of violet light standing behind me, and that they're just, I don't know, they're just beings of light. That's that I also connect with.
Okay, so so do you feel that they speak to you?
I
What?
feel a presence. I
Okay.
feel I feel supported.
Yeah,
It's
loved
almost
and
like,
taken care of. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, when I call in, like just by mentioning them, like I feel the energy come in, and I just feel this violet light behind me, and it's almost as if like you're just going to drop yourself back, like you would be caught. That's kind of like the feeling that I receive.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
beautiful feeling knowing that they're there for us and they're there to help us and to protect us and to protect that client.
Yeah, for sure. So that's how I connected with the angels and the beings of light.
So let me ask you, what did you ever have like any resistance or fear around your gifts? Or and if you did, how did you actually move through them?
Okay, so I didn't have any fear with any of this communicating with spirits or past loved ones or who are these beings of light. I never had any fear. And I just trusted and kept going, which is what helped me move so quickly. But when I started transmitting light language, that scared me. So light language, I had never heard about what light language was before, and there was somebody doing an interview like this on Facebook. So it was a small audience at the time, And I was like, oh, I want to know what this is, right? So I'm watching, and then the lady starts speaking light language, and it's like they're just sounds. They're just completely like unknown sounds. They're not like a language that we speak. And I was like, what? What is that, right? And I
Mhm.
was like, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was made up or like BS. And but at the same time, I couldn't keep myself away from it.
Away from it.
I had to watch, right? And then it was Facebook, so it tells you how many people are watching. And it said one person is watching. It
It
was
was
me, right?
you.
So I'm like, oh, that's me. And then she goes, I feel somebody who's watching this has like low back pain. And I had low back pain. I was like, that's me, right? Like it's one person watching and I have it. It's me. She's talking about me. And then she does her more light language and then the pain goes away.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And so I was very intrigued. I was like, I didn't even know what it was. And then after that, I started like looking up light language on YouTube and stuff. There wasn't as much as there is now. Even 5 years ago, it wasn't as much. And I found some, and they sounded different than this woman. It was like a different dialect of light language. And I was like watching. And anyway, one day I was just laying on my bed and I was playing with my voice. Playing, which is like a really key word in this work, is what I feel, is when you just like get yourself out of the space of like, I need to try to do something, but you're just playing to see what happens. And I was playing and I was just singing like opera. Not that I sing opera, I was just playing with the voice. And I was making these noises and just, and all of a sudden, this language came through me. And it was a deeper voice and it was light language, like I didn't understand. And I got up, I was like, what was that? Because it was a deeper voice. I immediately went to that must be evil, coming from like the Catholic part, right? That
Mhm.
cannot be good. And then I had this sense that came over me, this like light of love that said, it's okay. This is not.
Wow.
And I just was like, okay. And I was like, could that be light language, right? And so then I started leaning into that. But I just trusted. Again, when you asked me, like, well, how did you move through with the fear? I just felt this wave of like there was nothing wrong with it, and I
Mhm.
accepted it. And I was like, okay. I called in Archangel Michael, to protect me
Protect.
again,
Mhm.
or all the things. And then it kept happening. So I was like, okay. So then I started playing with that energy, and then I was like, wow, this is light language. And it didn't sound like the people that I had seen on YouTube. So it was a different thing, which is also different to feel like, well, what is this? Because it doesn't sound like they're doing it. It was my transmission, right? So then I was like, well, what do I do with this? Like, what does it do? So then I did it again. I put on Facebook, hey, I'm tapping into this thing that is like light language. Who wants to try it out? So I did it again, and the transmission was like maybe like 3 minutes of sounds. Like it's so short, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, what do I do? I was like, do I just start speaking? Like, what do I do? I don't know. So I just allow myself to transmit this. And I had this lady who came up to see what would it would do. And then when I was saying the things, the sounds, and then I said, oh, we just clear, I think I said 300 years of karma or past, I don't know, something. It was like back, ancestral healing. That's what it was. And I said that, and I'm like, how do I know that? Like, where did that come from? But I just
Mhm.
said it. Whatever. So that happened. It was a Saturday. On Monday, she sends me a message and she says, I know you said that we did this healing of, like 300 years of past lives, or their ancestors healing. I was like, yeah. And she's like, does this also work going forward? Like, your offspring. And I said, yes, it heals everything at the same time. Again, how did I know that? I don't know. It just came through.
Just
I
came
just said it,
through.
right? And then she said, I woke up to my 10-year-old daughter, brand new kid, like she used to be. She was depressed, withdrawn. She wouldn't talk to me. She was angry. And this Monday morning, she wakes up and she's talking to me like, hi. And she was like, what? And then this is how I found out like what I could do. So
So
I
what?
find out what I can do because people tell me.
So what it so it energetically works through language?
Yes, yes. So it's a healing. So a light language is a collection of sounds. They don't sound human. They sound, like otherworldly, or they sound made up. And what it does is it speaks straight to your heart. So it bypasses your brain.
The brain.
The one that says, like, if I say to you, okay, let me do a healing, and you're like, you have a lot of trauma or things that you're holding on, you're like, nope, I don't want to get rid of that, right? So you're holding on to, so you're putting a little barrier, and it doesn't matter what kind of healing I can give you. If you're not ready to allow yourself to receive, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So light language bypasses that. It goes straight to your heart, which is the brain of the human, the major part that does the healing for you. And so it goes straight there. It speaks to it, and I don't know. It just allows the energy to flow through the person, and it releases that. And how does it do like ancestral healing? How does it work with that? I don't know. I mean, now I know so much more than I did back then. Like I know, or I'm aware that all lives are happening at the same time, as opposed to that's a past life that happened and now we're here. It's like, no, even the past is happening. So if I'm having a healing here with you right now, then all of your parts are being healed at the
Of
same
being
time. And
healed.
that's where the past and the future work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So anyone can learn this, or um, do
It's
you? I mean, it's like I'm amazed. I've never heard of it. So that's
well, I can do a sample if you want
yeah.
later. But I don't feel it's a learning. I feel it's a
It
remembrance.
just, yeah, something that is already there inside.
Yeah, and I do feel that everyone can transmit if they allow themselves to do it. Fear is one of the major things that stop us from doing. As a matter of fact, I do teach how to activate your own light language, and actually, this is how my group activator came about. Is because it used to be called Dream Within You, and I would work with clients. And then as I would work on helping them heal, they would become activated in their own gifts. Their own gifts would like awaken, right? And then if I did light language on someone, they would become activated in light language. And I was like, oh, I'm an activator.
You're
That's
an
like,
activator. Yeah. So do you feel you're speaking to the, to the higher self, to the soul, and not the physical body?
for sure it's all energy. It's definitely all energy. So it's speaking to the energy that we hold, and that is what makes your 3D body, right? The we are all energy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, right, so
In a
when we're
physical body.
right, so when the energy goes to your aura, your space, whatever it is you want to call it, or envision, um, it heals on that level, on the energetic level. And then that's what creates the change in the physical form.
In the physical form. So
But it's
when,
only when you allow it.
well, of course, yeah, you have to
Yes.
put the intention out there. Um, so when you do a session for someone, what does it look or feel like? I'm curious.
Okay. So when we go on a session, it's usually people have an intention or something that they want to work on, and they just come on just like this, because I do everything through Zoom, and they talk about things. They talk like, this is what's happening in my life, this is what I've done, this is what I want to do. Like, they tell me all the things, and I receive information through the frequency of their voice.
Mm,
So there's something else that came upon, that I was like, oh, that's how I'm receiving things. Like, you could be saying something, but I'm hearing something different,
but
right? Like, you can
right.
say like, oh, these things happened to me, and I'm feeling like, okay, they're closing themselves here, or they're guarded on this side, right? So they're not aware that they're doing that. They're saying different things. So I'm hearing what's happening. And then it depends on what the person is allowing themselves to receive. So if they want to go into the Akashic records, I'll ask them if they want to do a healing in there, and they say yes, then I open the records, and then we go in there. If they want to and open to receiving light language, I ask them first if they want that, and then I can do a transmission for that. So it's really anything that comes through. And I just tell them what the guys are telling them or telling me to tell them, right?
Hmm.
So I am just, the way that I describe it is I'm the phone, and the phone is connected to the wall
To
to
the,
get the
mhm.
energy. And the wall, or wherever the energy comes from, is source, or, the oneness, everything, God, right? The divine. And so I am just receiving from source, and I'm speaking it out and letting you know, and then you can hear it in words that you would understand,
Mhm.
but it's not coming from me. It's coming from your guides or from source or from the divine, whomever it is that you feel comfortable with. So that's how that happens. And then people have a lot of huge shifts from that. And especially if we do like either an Akashic Records healing or a rewriting of the story, which I find very powerful, or anything. That would be like a one session thing. But what I love to do the most is when I work with people on a long term, because what I do is I teach them how to do it themselves.
Themselves. That's the most important thing, so that they take responsibility for their own healing.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like I'm only one person, so I cannot be seeing you every week if you have things coming up for you every week. It's
Mhm.
like I'd rather give you the tools, like, hey, do this. When this happens, do this. Say this sentence. Or work on this, journal on that, so that you have the tools, you have the power to help yourself, and then you don't really need to come see me all the time. And then the more that you practice your own healing, or the own tools on yourself, then maybe you'll be able to help other people that come to you, because you know that's your circle of friends, and then or acquaintances. So that's how I feel that we can begin to grow the circle of healing of light, is by empowering others to do the same with their own unique gifts.
Gifts. So, do you feel that healing can be, in some cases, immediate, or is it always like a journey?
That's a great question. So, on single sessions, there's always like an immediate shift on people that they can feel. The journeys are digging deeper, like it's like an onion, right?
Hmm.
So you have an onion, and today we can do a healing, and I'm lifting that first layer of whatever it is that you were repressing, and we get there, and now you have another layer, right? And this is why people are like, oh, I want to go see you again, I want to see you again. And I'm like, okay, how about I teach you what to do, so you don't have to come see me, but you can continue peeling that onion and get to the root of things. And we never get to the bottom or the center of it, because the onion always continues to bloom.
Yes. Hmm.
I'm obviously still healing with different things. The deeper we get, the more we can uncover, the more we're like, oh, that was something too, right? So that's how it works. So the journeys are more to give a person support and guidance through their journey, especially if they're not ready to work on their own, and to give them the tools so they learn along the way what they can do to help themselves, and then eventually they won't need me. So that's my purpose. But if somebody just wants like one session, then yeah, it's like a one healing, or like a chiropractor does one adjustment, right? And if you hurt yourself, you be in a car accident or something, they'll adjust you, and they'll say, come 3 times for 3 weeks, and then
Hmm.
come twice for 2 weeks, and then come once for 5 weeks, or whatever it is. Um, but the person cannot adjust themselves, right? So with this work, it's kind of like, yes, I can help you a lot with the one session, but if you want to learn to do this on your own, or if you want to, have the tools to use them, then that's the journey, because they're with me through the deepest parts, like peeling that onion and getting to the parts that are really difficult, when we have to like face the shadow, face what's happening, and that's a difficult thing to do on our own. A lot of people
Yes.
don't realize that it's so hard, and then they just give up, or they just don't want to do it anymore.
Well, it's like a little bit of a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of deep downs, and then you come back up, and you're right back down. So yeah, it's like anything else. We have to learn to let go of certain things that we've been through.
Yeah, and it can be discouraging if you don't have
Hmm.
someone to help you because you may feel like, oh, I'm back where I began and
Hmm.
this thing doesn't work when they don't realize that no, it's just a roller coaster, like you
Just a roller
said.
coaster ride, and it does
Yeah,
work. Believe me, it takes our challenges and issues. It takes time to release them and to grow, and to finally heal to the best that we can.
yeah, for sure.
So what you're talking about is that your 6 month program, that activated program that
Yes.
you do?
Uh-huh. Yes. So inactivated, we go deep. We start working all the way down to the womb, to childhood, and we work with like the different dynamics of the family and to discover and uncover where we are repressing our wounds that we may not know about. Like when I first did this type of work, um, and I was doing the work with my mother, the mother wound is like a big thing. My mom passed many years back, so when I first did this, I had nothing bad to say. My mom was wonderful. Everything
Mm.
was great. I love my mom. Everything's amazing. Thank you. All my letters to her when I first started doing the work myself were like, oh, thank you for being such a great mom. Thank you for it was like all this gratitude. I couldn't find anything wrong with the woman, right? And it wasn't until several months later on that I would have a remembrance like, oh, I remember when this happened. That didn't make me feel good. That was my mom. Wow, right? So I wasn't ready when I started
To see that. Hmm.
to see it, right? And that's part of the healing. So that's also where journeys come through because I meet a lot of people who are like, oh, I've done that. I have done that work. I've done work with this, with the mom or whatever it is. And then I'm like, okay. And they don't want to do it. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. But then months later, because we've uncovered so much more, they're able to see it. And they're like, oh. And that's what happened to me, right?
I think
So
it
I was
happens
like,
to a lot of us.
right, like we don't want to see it, or we're like, oh, that wasn't a big deal, right? Because we forgive so much, right? Especially if somebody has crossed over, we forgive any of the little things without realizing that those little things, seen from a child's perspective, it's a big thing that we carry, and that's part of the healing.
That's why I always say, to a lot of the people that I see, watch what you say to your children. Because if you tell them you're not good enough or you're stupid or you're this or you're that, you're planting like a little seed in their brain. And then that seed starts to sprout. And then now, as they, get older, they think they're not worthy or they're not good enough. And so, the words that we say to people are so important. And I look back, at my childhood and I realized that's all that my mother knew. And she was afraid of, she had the same abilities. She was just afraid.
Yeah,
And so her telling me, be quiet, stop it. Yeah, I could have listened, but in time it was so there, in front of me that I had to tap into it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's a lot, the conditioning that we have, and
Hmm.
in order to be able to be accepted by society. And when you said when you were in your 20s that it was so difficult, that your grandma passed and you had no one there to support you, now there are so many
It's
other
so much.
resources. You see it online everywhere, all kinds of people talking about it. So even if your family is not there to support you and they're still telling you, oh, you're just making that up, you find evidence of other people going through
The
similar
same.
things.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit different, a little bit more opening, like, hey, but that person can do it, maybe I can. But you know back in the day it was a lot harder to find that support.
It was hard, and because I was born 1948, so I'm an oldie, an oldie but goodie. And you would not talk about any of this
Hmm.
until the late 70s, and even then, when I was really trying to get back into it, people looked at you as if it was voodoo, and it
Yeah,
was, oh, I don't want to be her friend because she's really weird. But it wasn't. It was we all had this, a lot of us had this ability, but again, we were just afraid, to tap into our intuitive or psychic gifts.
for
And
sure.
but now, I it I look around and I say, wow, I wish my grandma and my mother were alive to see this, that they can see how everything has shifted and grown into a beautiful, that spirituality is real. Intuitive abilities are there, psychic abilities are there. I mean, it's a gifts that we all have, and it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing. And, it makes me say to myself, wow, even though, yeah, it was tough for me, but I'm so grateful that those that like yourself coming into all this now at such a younger age are able to help others and not be afraid.
Yeah, it's still scary. And there's still a lot of what is that called? A lot of people who are afraid of
Well,
it.
judgment, yeah.
Yeah, judgment. There's a lot of that still. I had my own modern day witch hunt happen to me about 3 years ago. My son was going to Catholic school, and the school welcomed us. I told them from the beginning, that I was raised Catholic, but I was no longer practicing. And they were like, fine, right? Because they're teaching my child. I wanted him to know about it because that's how I learned about the angels. So I wanted him to have a basis, right? And years later, they found out, somebody found out and about my website, not that it was hidden. And then they started digging into it, and they literally called me in to ask me questions about what's on my website and what I did. And I found myself sitting there in the office thinking, this is a modern day witch hunt. They're like telling me how terrible these things are.
Yes. Hmm.
But this is a thing that happened for me, is that by the time this happened, I was so grounded in what I was doing. I was so sure
Hmm.
that this was of the light. I had so many people tell me how I had helped them. There was nothing negative coming from anywhere.
Exactly.
That I knew that this was my truth. I understood that that was their reality, but I was not pushed down like I would have if this had happened like another 2 years earlier. I would have been terrified, mortified. I probably would have quit, right? But because I was already way advanced into my own knowing,
Hmm.
this didn't touch me that way. And I was like so happy that they had brought this up. And I was like, wow, I'm probably the door to them. Like I'm planting that seed in their place, whether they want to take it or not. That was my purpose. And I saw it that way. But at the same time, because I did share about this on my on my YouTube and stuff, that's really what was happening. And that's now.
Well, yeah, and people are still, judgmental. I mean, I have some people that don't, they will not be my friend because of what I do, but it's their choice. They can be
Yes.
closed to it, closed-minded, or allow themselves to be open to receive, healing and to understand, the challenges that they go through. You can help yourself, through, energy work and hypnotherapy and spiritual counseling, and activated, light beings. It is real.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, even for me, like it's kind of like some of the things, it wasn't that it was scary, except for the light language that first time. But it's more like that can't be, that has to be fantasy. And then you allow yourself to just be in that energy. Allow yourself to
Yes.
read more about it, listen to other people who are deeper down that rabbit hole. And then you're able to accept, oh, that, okay, maybe that's real too, you know?
Yeah. And you'll get that feeling that, that knowing whether it feels right or not. And if it
Yes.
doesn't feel right, then of course it may not be the right time, or it just may not be right. But you'll know, and I always tell everyone, listen to that, feel that feeling, that gut feeling, because it never lies to you. And
Yes.
just trust it, and go with it. But when we listen to the unfortunately the head, that's when we get into trouble, sometimes. But yeah, that gut feeling, will always be there for us. And
Yeah.
like for yourself, trusting this and then getting into it is a beautiful gift that you've actually given you to yourself.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it feels my life is so different. I feel purposeful, which before I was teaching, and I was teaching art. I love art, but I still felt like might not be it. Like there's something else. I didn't know what it was.
Hmm.
And when I was looking for this before I actually dove deep into my own sport, um, I was like, I would go to a yoga class and I would be like, huh, maybe I should teach yoga. Then I would go to a meditation class and I'd like, oh, maybe I should do this. And like, I would like have these thoughts, these ideas,
Feeling.
yeah, like, and everything was leading me to what I'm doing, but nothing would like really, like, it would have like a little spark, like maybe that's something I could study. And then I would have like some type of like, no, I don't really want it. And it's because it wasn't the right thing for me.
Hmm.
So it's like, but there were little hints from my soul telling me like, hey, this might guide you deeper into what it is that you are looking for.
Well, that's it. The soul will always show us where we need to go. Whether
Yes.
we listen or not, that's our choice. But yeah, I know for myself, I was a regional sales director for General Nutrition Centers. 500 employees I supervised, all back east. All the
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, Staten Island, all the crazy areas. Um, and the way I help people was through understanding what they needed, positive affirmations, uh, and I always came that way to everybody, with an open heart. But then after a while I realized, all right, this wasn't what I was supposed to do. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
I left that position after like 15 years or so, to get into the alternative modalities, because that's what in my heart felt what I needed to do. And I, of course, when you make a big change like that, you're afraid. Oh, what if it doesn't? I don't do well. All these things go through your mind. But then you have to tell yourself, all right, this is my path, and this is my journey. I will do well. I will survive this and move forward with it. And that's exactly what I did. Even though it was a little fearful, to be quite honest with you, but I stayed with it. I stayed with it, and I
because
grew. I grew,
because you had.
into my books and everything else that I've done. So yeah, so for yourself, you were an art teacher, but now you've chosen, a different path, and this probably feels like so right to your soul.
It does. But I was going to say, with you, you had to take such a leap of faith on yourself,
Hmm.
because when you go down the spiritual realm, you don't have this certificate that says I'm a psychic.
No, you have
Right?
nothing.
You have nothing,
You
right?
have nothing.
and
Uh-huh.
and we have been conditioned to like work hard, go to college, and get that little piece of paper that says you're worth it, right? Well, I went to the college and I have my master's, and there it was, and I still felt empty,
And yeah,
right? And then so many people now are the same thing. They're like, I got that paper, then what do I do with it? Like, and then they have to get some job that is not what they study or what they dreamt, but they're studying like really low, like, I don't know, in the mailroom somewhere, just to get up and pay their dues. And it's like, why do I have all this studying for? And when you're leaving all of that security to
yes.
take care of yourself and follow your heart, it's really scary. And everybody around you is like telling you that that's the wrong decision.
Well, yeah, everybody thought I was crazy. They all thought I had a nervous breakdown. But no, for
Yeah.
the first time in my life, I actually found me.
Yes.
But no one understood that.
No. The only people, and this is why I feel community is so important, because probably everybody around you is going to feel like that, like that's the wrong decision, you're crazy, you're losing your marbles, whatever. Why are you doing this? You
Mhm.
had such security, not understanding that you're listening to your heart, your
Your
soul.
heart.
Yeah. And then if you have community, or even somewhere a podcast that you listen to, or books of other people talking about it, then you have like, okay, yeah, somebody else wrote this book and is telling me what I'm feeling, or this podcast talks about this. So like, we feel the same. So it's that part of having someone out there that feels like
That
you, to
feels
give
like,
you
yeah.
that courage to keep going.
Oh, without a doubt.
Which,
Now, I also know, not to get off the subject, but
mhm.
you've written some books, right?
So I wrote a chapter in a book. It was a multi-author book. It's called The Voyage and the Return, Path of Self-Discovery. And my chapter is chapter 13. And on that chapter, I tell the story of, that 2020 awakening that I had that I didn't know it was an awakening back then. And then how I said no to everything. But I had a lot of miracles that happened for me at that time, which were amazing. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, wow, that's what it was. And then I wrote a children's book,
Oh.
Francesca and the Avocado. I don't know if I told you about it.
Okay, a children's book. Oh, and what is it about?
So it's about my dog Francesca. She was a Beagle Basset Hound, and I she had like the best stories that happened. And the children's story is about love and compassion and acceptance. And one day, I kid you not, I woke up and I was like, I should something happened with her. The name of the book is Francesca and the Avocado. And so something happened with this avocado that it was a really funny story. And I couldn't stop telling the story to everybody. I was like, this should be a book. And then I woke up one day and I wrote Francesca and the Avocado. That's the title of my book. And then I kept writing. And I wrote like 10 different titles. And I'm like, oh, I'm writing a series. And then it took me like 10 years to write the first
I know that feeling.
so yeah, I've only written the first one, but I mentioned this because that was given to me because I wrote all these titles and I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking of writing a book. It was just like it just came to me and I wrote them down and I was like, oh, okay, this should be a series. And then I just let it go. I put it away
You put
somewhere,
it away. I
which is
used to
what we
teach
do.
with my book. I had a big workbook. It was like 100 pages. And when I would teach students, I would give them, this. And one day, and when I worked at the Four Seasons, one
Uh-huh.
of my clients there said, wow, yeah, this should be a book. And I says, oh, yeah, but who's going to buy the book? Who's going to, I didn't have, that real confidence in myself.
Uh-huh.
And so I put it in a different format and she said, just send it out to some publishers. And I did. And lo and behold, I had gotten someone to publish the book. And I was shocked that, wow, somebody wanted my book,
Oh, that's
but
amazing.
it's amazing how, we write it down and it could stay, on our desk, for years. And then it
Hmm.
finally comes to life, when it's supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. I love that story. And so many of us have little things like this that, it comes and then we just dismiss it. It comes and we dismiss it. Um, but it's there for a reason.
It's
It's
there.
there for
Yeah.
us to share.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. And we need to. We need to share our abilities and share everything that has happened to us so that others can learn and grow.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. How many books do you have?
I have three books. The first one is Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Energy Healing. Second book is Awaken Your Best Self with Affirmations. And the
Uh-huh.
third one is Help Me, I'm Not Crazy, They Are, How to Survive Challenging People.
I
And that
love
came
that
because of
one.
my clients. So, because everyone would, boundaries and, everyone would think they're crazy when it's not them, it's the other person. And that's how I came up with that, help me, I'm not crazy, they are. So, I have my clients to thank for for that title. Yeah, it's all about energy drainers. The drama queen, the blamer, the narcissist. It's a whole bunch of different things in the book. With strategies. How to help yourself get away from some of them. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, and again, you have to be confident in yourself and know that you can do anything you set your mind to do and
Yeah, and
just do it.
it's not an easy path and it's also a very lonely path because it just feels like everybody who is waking up or having their own awakening or awareness is doing so without being surrounded by other people who are doing the
Yeah.
same thing. It's like you're
Yeah.
surrounded by
It,
people who are close-minded for
yes,
a
it
reason.
gets lonely. That I have to say, it does get lonely, but that's okay. All that matters is that we're happy with ourselves and we move forward. That's all that it is.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Wow, I can talk to you a lot longer, but I think we're out of a little time here. But so where can my listeners, reach out to you and find you?
I'm on Facebook at Valeria Maritiza. That's my name. I have a private group in Facebook called Healing Through You. And Healing Through You is my website and also my podcast name.
Oh, I'll make sure all that is in the notes. And
Thank you.
oh, wow, thank you for this beautiful hour.
You're
I'm
so
like,
welcome.
so happy that you were here to share your wisdom and your light with us today, and uh, deeply grateful for the insights and the inspiration that you actually brought to this sacred space. My podcast, and to my listeners also, thank you for opening your hearts and joining us on this journey. And I'd like for you to always to remember that you are powerful, you are loved, and your light matters more than you'll ever know. So until next time, keep shining, keep believing in yourself, and know that you are never alone. And have a beautiful day and week filled with love and with light. Love, Barbara.